Case? It's been around 15 minutes now since you told me you'd be going to the bathroom. Are you all right? The bus will be here in another 5 minutes or so. If you're not feeling all too well right now, we can cancel this honeymoon and go another time.
I'm out of the bathroom right now. I'll be back to you in just a second.
Case? Hey, the moment I got onto the bus, you told me you had to go back to the bathroom again. Are you sure you're all right? The toilet on this bus is pretty small, so I'm sure it's not comfortable for you in there, right? Did you eat something bad yesterday, or that's got you feeling so poorly? Do you want to go and see a doctor about it?
I'm alright, okay? It's not all that bad, actually. I should be out of here and coming back to my seat here soon, so don't worry.
Are you sure? If it's getting really bad for you, we can go to a local clinic and have them see if you need any medication.
Alright. Sorry for getting you all worked up over me.
I'm sorry for constantly checking up on you.
What?
That toilet you were just in was the one on the left side of the bus, right?
What? Why do you ask?
The person in front of me is saying that there were some strange noises coming from that toilet when they walked back there. As though there was a guy and a girl in there.
What? What are they talking about? And that's not for me. I was going to go into that toilet, but it was locked, and so I went to the toilet on the right side of the bus instead. I know for a fact that I'm not in that toilet right now. So you don't have to be worried about those noises coming from me.
I see. Well, as long as everything's all right back there.
Wow, I can't believe that the toilet on the left side of the bus has noises like that coming from it right now. I'm surprised I can't hear anything right now. I'm coming back to my seat right now, by the way.
All right. Aunt May, do you have a second to talk with me? What? Is that you, Sarah? What's going on? We are supposed to be meeting in the hotel's lobby tonight, right? Is it really all right for you to be texting me now when we can meet later today? You are on your honeymoon right now, so I think it's best you enjoy this time with your husband. Well, about my husband. He isn't feeling all too well right now. What? Oh, no way. He's told me that he has some medicine he can take to help ease some of his stomach pain and that he'll just sleep for the rest of the day in the hotel room. But all of that is a lie. What do you mean? He was already telling me about how it would be better to just send him home and enjoy this trip by myself, considering it's a waste of money being at this hotel with him being in such a bad state. But then why did he come all the way out here in the first place when he was feeling bad before we left? And why is he sending me out of the hotel room when I can just relax in there with him while he sleeps? Well, I know why. Just 10 minutes ago, I saw him walking my little sister into the room. And as I walked up to listen through the door, I could hear the both of them moaning. What? You're talking about June then, right? I always heard stories about how much she's loved to sleep around, but I never thought she'd get to your own husband like that. And during your honeymoon of all times. That's what I'm saying. The only reason I was able to see him walking my sister in there in the first place is because I forgot my sun hat, and so I came back to grab it. Perhaps that could be considered a stroke of luck, having my timing match theirs. Or maybe it's bad luck. I opened the door just a little to make sure the person I really saw was June, and they were too busy getting it on in the bed to notice me peering through the crack in the door. This is too crazy. Now that I'm thinking about it more, I think that June snuck onto that bus with Case and I as well. The whole way out here, things were so strange, and I was starting to really think Case was up to something. I don't even want to know what was going on in the bus. Are you going to be all right, Sarah? Well, let's just see what I can do about this. I have some time on my hands right now, so how about we meet up early and talk about what to do next? Are you all right with that? You wouldn't want to be all alone after witnessing something as insane as that, right? I'm sure there are plenty of things I can help with as well. So please, let me come see you and we can talk all this through in more detail and make a plan. Thank you, Aunt May. Where are you right now? I'm just walking back and forth outside the hotel, trying to keep my mind off what I just saw. Then I'm going to start heading back there right now. Can you meet me over by the tennis courts on the east side of the resort? It'll take me around 30 minutes to get back there, so you can take your time walking to that area. Is that all right? Yeah. While you're on your way back, I'll get some things taken care of that need to be dealt with. What things are you talking about? I just want to talk with some other people that need to know what I've seen is all. Ah, I see. I'll see you in a little over 30 minutes then. See you soon. Case, how's your stomach feeling right now?
Right. It is still causing me a little trouble and churning quite a bit, but I think I'm past the point where it was going to hurt the most. I'm sure the medicine is helping break things up in there a lot, as I haven't had to go to the bathroom as much anymore.
I see.
What have you been up to? Around this time, we were supposed to be going to the gardens or something like that, right?
I'm out with Aunt May and doing a couple of things.
Ah, she came along on this trip as well, right? I forgot that they had been wanting to come to a place like this as well, and made the choice to come during our honeymoon. Well, I'm glad you have had someone to spend the day with.
That's right.
By the way, we were supposed to be meeting with her tonight in the hotel lobby, right? Why don't the two of you just go out to eat dinner without coming back here for me?
What are you going to do then, Case?
I'll order something small with room service. I'm honestly not too hungry right now. So maybe just a small bowl of ice cream, and then I'm going back to sleep. I feel as though another good round of sleep will fix the stomach ache up for me. So if you just go out and have dinner with Aunt May, then that would give me the rest of the evening to relax.
I see. Then once I've had dinner with Aunt May, I'm heading all the way back home by myself.
What?
Well, if you're going to keep it up with that behavior, there's no real need to call all of this our honeymoon, right? I don't really want to be going around by myself seeing all the sights when it was supposed to be about you and I. So I'll head back to the house and relax by myself there.
Wait, I'm sure that by tomorrow I'll be feeling a whole lot better again.
Nope, I'm going home. There's no point in calling this a honeymoon trip anymore, now is there?
Huh? What are you trying to get at there, Sarah?
I'm going to go back out with Aunt May, have some dinner with her, and then head home.
Hey, listen to me. You're just going to head home by yourself and abandon your new husband out here when he's feeling sick? That's pretty messed up of you to just leave your sick husband here in a place he knows nothing about. To go home by yourself.
I am sure it's not me who's the messed up one here.
What the heck is all of this about? You're a freaking jerk for canceling this honeymoon without asking me first, and then leaving me here when I have a stomachache. Hey!
Oh, it's you again, Case?
Don't tell me that you're actually heading home soon.
Well, I am. There were some seats left on the last bus leaving here today, so that's what I'll be riding on.
Huh?
I'm on my way to the bus terminal right now, with Aunt May, of course.
Huh?
You go ahead and do whatever you please there at the resort.
What are you talking about? This is supposed to be yours and my honeymoon. Why would you leave right in the middle of it when I'm just getting back to my normal self and want to have fun with you? Why are you just leaving me here without a care in the world?
Do I really have to give you the reason for why this is?
You want to go home because I became a little sick for a day or two, and it was no fun for you, right? I'm sorry that I ended up getting this sick, but you were the one that left me in this room all day long by myself with no company at all. You're screwed up, Sarah.
Ugh. So that's the reason you think I'm leaving you to go back to the house?
What other reason would there frickin' be right now?
How about the reason of you and my little sister getting it on in the hotel room today?
What?
back when we were on our way out here on the bus, there were some things going on that made me a little concerned.
Sarah?
Back when the guy sitting in front of me on the bus said something about strange noises coming out of the toilet on the left side of the bus. That was you and June, right?
And
don't tell me the same thing was going on with you two in the bathroom before you and I got on the bus.
why would you bring something like that up? Did June say anything to you yesterday or today?
Listen, Case, I know what's happened, so give it up trying to convince me otherwise.
What?
This morning, after you told me to leave the room and go do some things by myself, I forgot my hat and went back up to the room to go and get it.
What?
You both didn't seem to notice anything at the time because you were too busy humping each other. But that's when I saw with my own eyes that you were doing my little sister. I was looking through a crack in the door I made by opening it ever so slightly. She was riding on top of you for a bit before you both rolled over and kept going at it under the covers.
You're lying.
Oh, I sat there listening and watching for close to 10 minutes because I couldn't believe my eyes and had to keep checking again to make sure what I was looking at was actually real. I'm sure that June is staying at the same resort right now. If she wasn't, then there would have been no way of her getting into the resort and up to our room that quickly, right?
No, wait,
In other words, since the beginning, you and her have been planning on going to the same resort at the same time during our honeymoon so that you both could play around. Right?
Well,
I'm going to find out all the finer details in this from here on. And it would help me out a lot if you would just confess to what you've done here. And to make that happen, there will be a lot of people showing up to your room really soon.
a lot of people showing up to this room? Here?
I don't want to see you in person for a little while now, so I'll leave it up to all of them to get the information I need.
What are you going on about? What? Hey, Sarah, why are both my parents and your parents here right now? Why were they all allowed to come into this resort? We are way too far away from home for all of them to have made it out here this quickly.
Wait, did you totally forget or something? To join in on some of the fun we were going to have, our parents all got together and planned a trip out for themselves to come to this area as well.
What?
They wanted to have some good family bonding time as well, since you and I just married, so they booked rooms at a resort just down the road. But when they heard the news from me about what I'd seen, they all got into their rental van and started to make their way over to the resort you're at.
What? Huh?
They were also able to make a last-minute change to stay at that resort tonight. Since both the resorts on the street are owned by the same company and are able to do things like that for their guests.
What?
It also helps that Aunt May has a friend working for that resort. She had a word with that friend of hers and told them everything they needed to know. So that friend went ahead and made sure to give our parents the large suite room in order for you all to sit down and have a nice long meeting.
Wait.
So now that you're aware of that, tonight will be a blast for you. Both you and June will be able to have a seat in that room with all four of them and take it up your butts.
Are you freaking kidding me, Sarah? Sarah, I made sure to get that settlement into your bank account. The divorce paperwork has all been handed into the courthouse as well.
Is that right? Thank you so much for letting me know.
Well, now that I've thought about it, this divorce is perfect for me.
Why is that?
Well, now I'll be able to marry your little sister instead. Tomorrow, I'm going to go and propose to her, and then from there, her and I can run over to the courthouse again and get married.
So you're going right back for more then?
I may have lost my parents because of what happened, but as long as I have a young and cute-looking wife like June in my life, I'll be just fine. I'll be perfect, actually.
That might not be happening though, Case.
Why do you say that?
Because June is already married.
Huh?
From what I've heard, she already gave birth to the son of a truly top-notch CEO who's making over $1.5 million a year. So after giving birth to his son, they both tied the knot and are now considered husband and wife.
What did you just say? She got married to another man? Even though I went and paid for both the settlement you asked for me and the settlement you asked from her? She just left me now?
Did you really think you were the only man she was getting love from? I'm not sure what made you think that about her, but for the longest time now, she's been a real whore.
What?
Ever since high school, I think, she's been sleeping around with pretty much any man she could land. There were times she'd call them her boyfriends or something, but that would mean at some points she had 3 boyfriends at a time.
What the actual heck?
I'm sure that since she just got married, she's gone and ended all those other relationships she was having.
I never heard anything about this stuff, though.
I think she was waiting until after you paid both of your settlements to me before she would say anything.
That frickin' whore.
Well, along with myself, my parents have also gone and cut ties to my little sister. So now you both mean nothing to us. Good luck trying to figure out the situation you've gotten yourself into now, Case. Goodbye. After that, Case went and found the company of June's husband and ran in there making a huge scene. This led to June's husband finding out about all the men June had been with before, and so he had a DNA test done on his baby that she recently had. It turned out that the baby was Case's. This led to June then being divorced by her husband and him getting a settlement from her, and Case was also given a bill for all the things in that man's office building that he went and broke in his rage. However, even after all of that, Case still wanted to be with June, and so those two handed in their marriage form. As of right now, those two are working hard to make up all the money they need to pay off all their debt. But while that's happening, June is still finding ways to go back out with other men. Case is very much aware of what she's doing, but for some reason he doesn't want a divorce and just ignores all of it. Even more recently, things between those two have become so divided that they sleep on opposite sides of the house from one another. Because of this, it seems like the place is a very bad environment for their baby, and so my parents and I have talked about taking it away from them. Time will only tell what happens next, but I just hope nothing happens to harm that whore's baby.
Zoe, are you there? There's something important I need to tell you. I know your dad said I couldn't tell you this, but I think it's unfair to keep this a secret from you. Yes, I'm here. What is it that's so important, Edith? Well, it's about your dad. Seriously, I don't know where to start, but I feel like I have to tell you that your dad's health is in a very critical condition. He's in the terminal phase of a heart failure, and his condition is deteriorating at an alarming rate. I asked him to go to the hospital, but he wanted to stay home. I think he also knows that his time is running out. What? Why all of a sudden? A mere few weeks ago, when I last saw him, he seemed to be in good spirits and full of energy. How come his condition worsened so quickly? I just can't believe this. He was deliberately pretending to be okay so you won't have any suspicions on his condition. In reality, he was suffering from a lot of chest pain and fatigue. What a brave man, to think he would go to such length to protect you from all the possible emotional damage. I know that it's difficult to process all of this, but it's still an inevitable truth. I knew that he was dealing with heart failure for a long time now, but I didn't anticipate that this day would come so quickly. Honestly, you should have told me about my dad's condition way sooner, Eden. I really don't understand why my dad told you to keep his illness a secret from me. Zoe, you know Henry loves you more than anything in the world. He didn't want to hurt your feelings. He knew that if you learned of his illness, you would be devastated. Your dad didn't want to worry you, so he kept his health problems a secret. How could he possibly conceal such a grave matter from me? He should know that I love him just as much as he loves me, and that keeping his condition from me won't help me cope with tragedy any better. I know, I told him the same thing, but despite how many times I tried to talk him out of his opinion, he insisted that I maintain my silence and not inform you of his illness. Well, now that you have told me about it, can I at least pay my dad a visit? I want to sit around and do nothing while my father is fighting for his life. Zoe, I know that you want to see your father as soon as possible. However, if you were to appear at our home at this time, it would make me a traitor to his wishes, and I would never want that. You know, I gave him my words, and I can't just simply break my promise with him. What should I do now? Should I just watch as his life slowly comes to an end without doing anything? What kind of daughter would do something like that to her own father? Zoe, I know what you're going through right now. I have all the sympathy in the world for you. But don't be too worried. I'll keep you constantly informed about your dad's situation. What if I just come to his mansion without his consent? I could make it like a casual visit that he won't have anything to say about it. Please, Eden, I want to be with my father during this most challenging time in his life. I'm sure he would be more than happy to see his daughter. No, Zoe, I told you, you can't do that, or else your dad would be boiling mad at me. You already know how short-tempered your dad is, and how scary he would become when he loses his composure, especially when it's something that it has to do with you. I know that you're feeling confused and scared, but bear in mind that I'm always here for you during this difficult time. But Eden, how can I make it seem like nothing and ignore my dad, knowing that he's suffering from so much misery? Honey, I told you, I'll make sure that you don't miss any important updates on your dad's medical condition. All you need to do right now is to clear your head, pray, and hope for the best for your father. He's a tough man. Although the chances are slim, he hasn't given up on his life yet. Fine, I understand that it's impossible for me to visit my father. However, I don't want to trouble you too much about my father's condition. So can you please at least provide me with contact details of his private doctor, Mr. Davis? I just want to know more information on my father's medical prescriptions and his current condition. Oh, I forgot to tell you, Mr. Davis no longer works as your dad's private doctor anymore. He told us that he was experiencing some family difficulties and resigned shortly thereafter. Now, Dr. Brown is in charge of supervising your dad's health. Oh, okay. Would you be so kind as to give me Dr. Brown's phone number so I can have a word with him? Please send me as soon as possible because this is really important for me. Honey, you don't need to worry yourself too much with your father's treatment by contacting his private doctor. Me and Dr. Brown have everything under control. We always keep a close eye on Henry's situation and immediately interfere if anything goes wrong. I can't help but think that you're doubting my ability to take care of your father, and I feel a little offended by that. No, Eden, you're misunderstanding me. That's not what I meant at all. I believe that you have seen with your own eyes how well I have always taken care of Henry throughout the years. I undertake the daily tasks of cooking his meals, ironing and laundering his clothes, cleaning the bedroom, and ensuring that his workroom is spotless. I could ask the maids to do all the housework, but I don't want to. I think it's important for me to be a hands-on wife and take care of my husband myself. Zoe, I don't want to say this out loud, but I knew that you disliked me from the very first day I set foot in Henry's house. Is that correct? Well, I don't blame you. It's a bad reputation that stepmothers always have to bear on their shoulders. Eden, I'm sorry. It is true that I didn't have a good feeling about you marrying my dad from the start because I thought it was a hasty decision. But as I came to know you better, I came to realize that you truly love and care for my father. In fact, you were the one who strongly opposed my father's decision of forcing me to move out of his house due to certain misunderstandings between us, and I'm really grateful for that. I want to know more about my dad's condition, but that doesn't mean I don't trust you to take care of him. Those are two different things. Fine, honey. I'll give you Dr. Brown's contact. But don't worry too much. As I said, me and Dr. Brown have everything under control. Zoe, honey, I feel as though I've been stabbed by 100 knives in my heart. I cannot believe it happened so quickly. What is it, Eden? Is it about my dad? Yes, darling. Henry passed away peacefully in his sleep. This morning, when I entered his room, I noticed that he was no longer breathing. I immediately called Dr. Brown, who arrived shortly thereafter and conducted a thorough examination. He confirmed that your father had no signs of life. I am so sorry for your loss, Zoe. I know how you must be feeling at the moment, and I am feeling the same way. Oh, Father, so this day has finally come. I really don't know what to say right now other than thanking you for being by my dad's side during his last days of living. This is an extremely heartbreaking situation, and none of us would have wished for this. I understand that this is a difficult time for you, and I want to assure you that I have already taken care of the funeral arrangements. Your father's funeral will be held at his mansion within 1 week. It'll be a discreet one among family members, just as your father's will. I will inform you of the exact date and time as soon as it's finalized. I got it. Thank you for taking care of everything. I seriously don't know what to do without you. Did Father leave any parting words for you before he passed away? Henry was a thoughtful and prudent man, as you know. He had already carefully planned everything, including who would inherit his estate. According to his will, I, his legal wife, will be the sole beneficiary of his belongings and financial assets. This decision is clearly stated in his testament, and I am confident that you will not contest it. I'm sorry, Zoe, but you will not receive a single penny from your father. I find it weird that he didn't leave me anything in his will. I'm his daughter, and he loves me just as much as he loves you. He even hid his illness from me to protect me. I don't think he would have left me out of his will on purpose. Zoe, just accept that you no longer have a place in Henry's heart. I have been his primary caregiver for many years, and he has come to rely on me more than on you. You may not realize it, but the bond between you and Henry has weakened over time. In fact, he may have stopped caring for you altogether. That is why he decided to leave me all of his assets. He knew that I am the person who deserves them the most. No! It's simply not true what you said. My father's love for me has never diminished, even after my mother's death. The last time we saw each other, he treated me with the same warmth and kindness that he always has. I can confidently state that my father's love for me is unwavering and everlasting. You may continue to cling to your delusion about your father, but you cannot deny the fact that I am the rightful heir to Henry's vast fortune. If you have any objections to your father's will, you are welcome to come to my house and I will show you the testament that he personally wrote. I am confident that you will be able to identify his handwriting and signature very quickly. Admit it, Zoe. Now you're nothing more than a pitiful and abject failure. And me? After all those years of enduring that disgusting old man, I can finally achieve my goal, to acquire his fortune and a lot of it. What? What do you mean? Are you implying that you married my father solely for his wealth? I find your old father so disgusting that I have to hold back from throwing up every time I have to sleep with him. Do you really think that a beautiful young woman like me would be with your father because I love him? That's the most ridiculous joke I've ever heard in my entire life. What? So you're saying that all of the years you spent caring for my father were nothing more than a calculated and deceitful ploy to gain control of his vast fortune? I was totally convinced that your words and actions were genuine. I believed that you were truly committed to watching over my father's well-being. Oh, honey, these sorts of performances are child's play for me. You believe that I was caring for your father, but the reality is that the maids were doing all the work for me. I simply gave them some money to keep them quiet so that I could take all the credit. You must be surprised by my intellect. Am I correct? I am curious to know who else could possess both intelligence and beauty like me. Eden, you're a person of astonishing shamelessness, greed, and despicable deception. I never imagined that you would be that kind of person. I believed that you truly cared for my father and that your intentions were genuine. The thought of how you pretended to be nice to me and my dad makes me shiver. And by the way, sorry that I got you kicked out of the house. I would be surprised if you didn't miss the days when you lived in your father's grand mansion, now that you've been reduced to living in a tiny rented house. I can only imagine how cramped and uncomfortable it must be for you after being accustomed to such luxury. Well, it is a life that you have earned, one that is fitting for a little brat like you. What? You were the one who orchestrated my being kicked out of the house? Who else could it have been? You were angry at your father for not letting you go out with your bad friends. So I took advantage of the situation and snuck into your father's workroom and burned his important documents to ashes. Afterwards, I took your father's phone and texted you to come into the room. Hardly had you stepped foot into the room when your father came in, catching you red-handed in the midst of the compelling crime scene. Now that I think about it, I still can't understand why my father was so certain that my friends were delinquents. It was you who planted those ideas in his head, wasn't it? Oh, I thought that someone as dull as you wouldn't be able to grasp the situation so quickly. But bingo! You got that right. Prior to that, you were also involved in a number of other incidents, such as stealing your father's money, throwing away your father's wedding ring, or destroying his wedding photos with me. Of course, all of these troubles were orchestrated by me, and they, along with the incident in which your father's documents were burned, are more than enough reasons for you to be excluded from the house. You were the one behind all of this? I cannot believe that I was so foolish not to see it. To think that I felt indebted to you for defending me against my father, when in reality, it was all just an act. Your character is so loathsome that I am ashamed to have ever associated with you. A wicked witch like you will not get away with your sins. You may blame me all you want, but it will not change the reality that your father gave me all of his inheritance, leaving you completely penniless. Do not be too sour, Zoe. Perhaps if you alter your conduct, I would consider giving you a chance to work as a maid in my home. Zoe, I never imagined that you could be so embittered as to not even attend your own father's funeral. I am deeply disappointed in you, Zoe. What kind of daughter are you? I was about to ask you that very question, Eden. What sort of stepmother are you to commit such a heinous act? What sort of thing are you implying, Zoe? Are you still holding a grudge against me for not getting your hands on your father's fortune? If I'm not mistaken, you're simply sitting at home plotting some evil scheme to regain your father's inheritance. Are you not? Well, sorry to say, but that won't be easy, Zoe. You know very clearly that I am the rightful owner of your father's legacy. You even saw with your own eyes your father's testament, and you can't even deny that it is your father's own handwriting. Eden, I would not be so arrogant if I were you. In fact, I suggest that you prepare to face your worst nightmare for the vile crime that you committed against my father. What crime are you referring to? Are you perhaps fantasizing again? Don't attempt to deceive me with your pretense of innocence. I know everything. You coerced my father into signing a will that leaves all of his assets to you. Your boyfriend held a gun to his head while he was signing the document. Subsequently, you confined my father and Dr. Davis in the basement to prevent anyone from ever learning of your wrongdoing. What boyfriend? Seriously, I don't have a clue what you're talking about. Your father is dead. Stop deceiving yourself into believing that he's still alive. It's ridiculous, you know that. If you had attended the funeral, you would have seen your father's body in the coffin, but you declined to do so. Please, Eden, stop pretending. I know everything about your evil plan to hurt my father and steal his money. In fact, Dr. Brown is actually your boyfriend, Scott. He has assumed the identity of Dr. Brown in order to stay close to you. If I'm not mistaken, you had intended to marry him had things gone according to your initial plans. What? Don't just level such an accusation against me without any proof to support it. Do you seriously believe that I will allow you to continue defaming me in this manner? I'm calling the police. How dare you deny your crime and ask for evidence? My father and Dr. Davis are the living proof of your wrongdoing. I found them tied up in the basement of my father's mansion, and I was able to free them. The police will soon find out about you and Scott's crime of kidnapping. You should prepare for that. It's useless to deny it because Scott has already confessed. How could he have been so foolish? I refuse to believe it. Don't try to trick me. I won't fall for it. There's no way that Scott would admit everything. I suspected something was wrong from the start, so I asked Dr. Brown for my father's medical records. I found out that he prescribed the drug that my dad was allergic to, which only me and Dr. Davis knew about. I investigated and found out that Dr. Brown is a fraud with no medical knowledge. He eventually pleaded guilty to his crimes and said that you were his accomplice. What? How could Scott be so stupid to commit that simple mistake? I knew that I could never put my trust in that useless man. Don't just blame your boyfriend for your plan failing. You also messed up. That gave me the perfect chance to sneak in and rescue my dad and Dr. Davis from the basement. No! It's unbelievable that someone as dull as you could have figured out my plan so easily. I cannot believe any of this. Eden, you are a liar and a cheat. You pretended to be a good wife and caregiver to my father, but you were actually having an affair with Scott. Dr. Davis found out about your affair with Scott and told my father. You and Scott were scared, so you attacked them and locked both Dr. Davis and my father in the basement. No, please stop talking. I've heard enough. In a subsequent act of desperation, you and Scott devised a meticulously crafted scheme to conceal your crime. You claimed that my father was seriously ill and even faked his funeral in an attempt to throw off suspicion. The figure that lies in the coffin is not my dad's corpse, but a wax effigy that has been crafted with painstaking precision. Furthermore, I also found out that you hadn't even informed the state about my father's death. So there's no way that my father's death was real. Oh no, I can't believe I figured it all out. Please do not turn me into the authorities. I didn't want to do what I did, but your father left me no choice. He threatened to disinherit me and leave everything to you. I was afraid of having to give up the lifestyle that was funded by wealth and privilege, which I had been enjoying all the time. What could I do in that situation? Henry forced my hand. It was not my fault. I would do anything to make it up to you and your father. I would go away and never bother you again. I would give up everything I've just to be forgiven. Please, I'm begging you. Don't call the police. I'm not a bad person. I was just trying to survive. Please give me another chance. After the dreadful crimes you committed, now you would still dare to claim that you are not a bad person? Your actions against my father were utterly unforgivable and you deserve the most severe punishments. The police are already on their way to arrest you. And don't even think for a moment that you will be able to escape justice. After a lengthy investigation, the police finally apprehended Eden and her lover, Scott, for their heinous crimes of illegal captivity and fraud. The two were subsequently tried and convicted, and each sentenced to 7 years in prison. This sentence is a just and fitting punishment for their cruel and unscrupulous actions. Upon being liberated from their imprisonment, my father and Dr. Davis showered me with praise for my keenness in solving the case. My father also expressed his regret for not heeding my counsel in the first instance and forcing me to move out of his house. He then extended an invitation for me and my spouse to relocate to the mansion and reside with him. Ultimately, it was not my father who was at fault for the events that transpired. Rather, it was my wicked stepmother who was having an extramarital affair and subsequently devised a plan to seize my father's fortune. In the end, justice was served. Although what happened to my father and me was disheartening, it also served to strengthen our bond as father and daughter. It is always essential to never give up on the people we care about and to be willing to open our hearts when they offer us a sincere apology for the mistakes they made in the past.